And good evening, everybody. Welcome aboard. It's Hawk Talk. We're coming to you live from the Elks Lodge here in Indiana. Jack Benedict here with Coach Paul Tortorella. We talk IUP football. Hawk Talk coming off a win over Seton Hill, 20-13 on Saturday. Good to have our usual crowd here and a few other ones. So glad to have you along. We're going to have a special guest for you. One of the players will be along at 6:30, and so we'll go from there. Okay, and we have some fans that I think want to ask some questions here a little bit later on. First of all, Coach, we had 2 games in one there.
Yeah.
The first half, you go to the locker room, you're down 13-0. What a half! I mean, 3 interceptions, roughing the kicker, a PI, holding penalties. So, what'd you tell them at halftime?
Well, the positive was the defense played great because, the situations that they were put in, we gave them the first time they went out and played defense, we were on our 8-yard line after the second time we played defense. We threw an interception and had to go play defense on our 8-yard line, held them to a field goal. Sudden change 3 times. We roughed the punter. To come out of there with only 13 points scored against us was actually really good. The defense played pretty well. The drive that they actually scored on they threw a screen pass downfield, and they had about 6 guys downfield blocking, and the ball was caught in front of the line of scrimmage, so it should have been legal men downfield, but they made a first down on the screen, and then that kept their drive going, and they eventually scored on a breakout run. Running back's a good player for Seton Hill. Other than that play and really a couple pass interference calls that were pass interference on our guys, we played a pretty good game. They only had 230 yards total offense, I think, and I think they were 3 for 16 on 3rd and 4th down. So our defense played well, kept us in the game. And it wasn't like we weren't moving the ball. The problem was we were turning it over. Mm-hmm. We threw 3 interceptions. And that's a recipe for a disaster, basically. So to go in at 13-0 was actually not as bad as it could have been.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse, that's for sure. Did you make any major changes for the second half or not?
Well, we kind of saw how Seton Hill was trying to play the game. They were going to be very conservative, not take chances on offense, try to win with their defense. Make our offense beat them. So in the second half, we defensively really loaded up to stop the run, which was good, and it was successful. And then on offense, we actually, even though we got behind, we started throwing the ball too much. So we had to, get the run game going. Everybody says, wow, you scored 20 points in the second half. You came back and won. It must have been air raid, this, that, and the other. I said, actually, the difference, we started really running the ball and causing problems, and then we hit a couple misdirection, and we hit a nice pass to Laney, and, so we had a better mix on offense. That's what we said at halftime is let's start running the ball. We kind of got away from it when we got behind. It'll open up the play action and misdirection game. We ran 4 or 5 misdirections in the second half. They were all good plays. Big play on 4th and 2 when we went for it. Marcus Day made a great catch, got hit, both sides. Got hit one way, got hit the other way, held on to the ball. We were down 13-7 there. It was late in the 3rd quarter. 4th and 2 on the plus 42. You don't get many chances. They're running the ball a lot, so they're milking the clock. So we went for it thinking, we're not going to get that many chances. So we executed a good play, and they made a great catch and held on to it. And then we scored on the quarterback run. Then we missed the extra point. We had a procedure penalty, and then we missed the extra point, which is unacceptable. So now we're tied going into the 4th quarter. We did a good job. We downed a punt on their 2-yard line, which was a big play when the score was tied. But the key is our last drive was an 86-yard drive to take the lead. I mean, we had 3 drives in the second half over 80 yards.
Yeah, exactly.
And the only time we didn't move the ball was when we got great field position and we went three and out. It was like 4th and 3 on their 40. And I just felt like we could pin them down in there, so we took the delay of game penalty to move the ball back so our punter had more room, and it worked perfect. Debner did a good job down there on the 3-yard line.
Yeah.
So they kind of made me look good, I guess, with that decision, because if you punt it into the end zone, then you probably were like, we should have just went for it. But we were fine. It was tied. We had control. We had the momentum. There was no need to panic and rush things, so what we did ended up working.
One of the things that I was wondering, I think those of us in the booth, you mentioned about Seton Hill going conservative. So it's nearing the end of the half with about 1:33 to go. They had good field position.
Yeah.
And they didn't even press the issue, even for a field goal situation.
Yeah.
Was that surprising to you?
Oh, yeah, I was shocked. It was clear how they wanted to play the game. They got the lead. They just wanted to hang on with their defense, not take chances on offense. Now, them running the ball, they are putting the ball in their best players' hands. Their pass game wasn't, and they had done some things in the pass game the previous week against Cal. So it wasn't like they hadn't thrown the ball before, but they wanted to run Craggett, play defense. Now, here's the other thing. Their punter and kicker controlled that. That was the other reason why I think they played the way they played. Their kickoff guy, automatic out of the end zone. Their punter caused all kind of problems. That's why we had to go 80 yards every time you turned around.
Right. Yeah.
So between their defense, their punter and kicker, and running their best player at running back, that's the way they wanted to go to try to win the game.
So after the first half, which, as we said, you're trailing and all, was there any thought in your mind of maybe switching quarterbacks for the third quarter?
No. Karst usually plays better in the second half than he does the first half. We got to get him playing better in the first half. So, we went with him. We stayed with him, and he got us right down. Like he played, he'd be the first to tell you he didn't play very good in the first half. He played didn't play very well at all. But in the second half, he was spot on between running and throwing. He had an outstanding half. We scored 3 touchdowns on 3 80-yard drives, completed a bunch of passes, hurt them in the run game. He ran the ball pretty good in the second half also.
Yeah.
Great throw to Laney on the touchdown. It was a good play setup that we had. We got him exactly out of it what we thought.
Yeah.
A great throw. Laney made.
In fact, we have that on a replay where John has it for us on the 35-yard pass play from Karst, and that really set the tone there. It looked like the defender didn't even try to defend him. It was a great throw.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he was surprised at the route because we switched up the design a little bit, so they hadn't seen that look with trips into the boundary, and it worked like we thought it would have a chance to. Mm-hmm. But you still got to throw it and catch it, and he was open, but he wasn't like wide open, but he was open.
Well, you think maybe against a team like Seton Hill with that unconventional defense we talked about, it took him a while to see what they were doing, and then once he got into a groove, he was fine?
You would think that, and that's what a stereotypical thing would be.
That's what I want to think.
But their defense is confusing to confuse you in the run game. They were just playing basic man-free coverage almost the whole game. Mm-hmm. Like it's coverage you see every week. And our receivers weren't winning in the first half. They were getting covered. We also had 4 drops. Maurice, who doesn't drop many balls, had 3 drops. Debner, who doesn't drop many balls, had a drop. So we had 4 drops also on top of the 3 interceptions. And we weren't winning. I mean, everybody wants to talk about their defense. Seton Hill, it's confusing. It's that and the other. But it had nothing, like they were playing man-free, and we weren't winning, and we weren't completing passes against just basic man-free coverage. They weren't blitzing. And then in the second half, we wore them out running the ball. You know, we I don't know, we ran for 160 yards, and I'll bet 120 or 130 of them was in the second half.
And you just can't say enough for J.D. Younger.
Oh, he played a great game.
He was the Lone Ranger.
Well, not only did he play a great game running, but he throws a great block on Carr's touchdown run. He had some great runs, especially late in the game on the last touchdown drive. He played his best game of the year, and it was like you said, he was the Lone Ranger. There wasn't, there was no. He didn't want to come out, thank goodness, because we really got not a whole lot of guys to put in for him because of the injury situation at that position. Like, we're fine everywhere else, but we still got a problem with injuries at running back.
One of the fans that wanted me to ask you about after the slow start, was it because of what Seton Hill was doing, or the miscues, what we talked about? That's what it had to be.
I mean, when you throw 3 interceptions against man-free coverage, it's like it's the easiest. I mean, it's an easy coverage. You got to win, but it wasn't confusing. Like, they weren't disguising it. I mean, they're playing man-free.
As a follow-up, one of the questions was, like, on the interceptions, what was the, what really happened there?
Well,
3 different times.
The first one, he underthrew him, and the safety played over the top. He's got to throw that over the top. He's got to throw it over the top and not let the safety get involved. And that was the first interception. The second interception, we ran a slant, and the corner read it, and he jumped the route, and he made a great play on it. Now, if we would have had a double move on, a slant and go, he would have been wide open. But we had a slant, and the kid made a good play. Third one, Carr should have just thrown it away. He tried to scramble. There was a guy there. He wasn't going to be able to run it for a first down. So then he tried to throw it to Cy Clark. And Cy actually turned to start to go block when he saw Carr scramble. And that was the third interception. So I'd give Seton Hill credit on the slant route. Kid made a great play. The over-the-top first interception, Carr underthrew it pretty bad. And that was the interception. And then the third one, he should have never thrown it. He should have just thrown the ball away, and we would have punted.
When you have a quarterback like Karst, who has the mobility and can run at you, he's actually the leading rusher. As an offensive lineman and people up front, you have to show a lot of patience, don't you?
Yeah. Well, like on our last touchdown drive, I think it's 2nd and 9, and he's ready to throw a post, and the safety shows up, and probably would have been iffy whether it was going to connect or the center fielder was getting ready to break on it and intercept it. And he looked, saw it, and he just ran. And he got us to 3rd and 1 because he ran for 8 yards, and scrambled on 2nd and 9. So when he does those things, another time on one of our other touchdown drives, we were 2nd and 10. We ran a quarterback draw. He gained 9 yards. And I know this sounds crazy, but if you do take away the 3 throws that were interceptions, and the one was a great play by the defensive guy, he actually played a pretty good game other than that. But you can't throw 3 interceptions.
Yeah. Did the quality of play by Seton Hill, did it surprise you in any way? Because they had given other teams battles.
Yeah, I mean, they're 21-21 with Cal with 6 minutes to go. They were in 5 now they've played 7 games, and 6 of them were 1-score games. They got a lot of guys back on defense. Where they had kind of a drop off from last year, they had some pretty good receivers, and they graduated. The one transferred, the one real good receiver transferred to Southern Utah. He went up. So their drop off on offense was at wideout. The running back's a really good running back. He's one of the best running backs in the league. And but they don't have the receivers like they had last year. Defensively, they've got they had a lot of guys back from last year, and they're very aggressive, and they're physical, and their free safety played a great game, but we let them play a great game.
All right, we're going to be back in a moment. We're talking IUP football, Hawk Talk. We're here at the Elks Lodge. Gee, I see other people have shown up. That's great. Stay with us. We're going to be back with Coach Tortorella, and we'll talk more about IUP football getting ready for the Coal Bowl coming up this Saturday at California. And we'll be back on Renda Digital TV and also U92radio.com.
Located along the beautiful Allegheny River in downtown Katanning, the Meredith Inn provides an atmosphere of casual, upscale dining. If you're looking for the perfect venue for your next event, look no further than the Meredith Inn. Family gatherings, wedding rehearsal, business meeting, or just a night out. It's perfect for all occasions, and their menu has something for everyone, leaving all full and satisfied. For more information, visit them at themeredithinn.com or call 724-793-7364.
Looking for food, fun, and entertainment with a purpose? The Elks Lodge 931 in Indiana is more than a place. It's community. Become an Elk. Enjoy food, fun, bowling, music, events, and a banquet hall. Distinctly American, Elks are rooted in brotherly love, charity, fidelity, and justice. Annually giving tens of thousands to local charities. We give back not at the Elks, as an Elk. See them at 475 South 13th Street and on Facebook today. Elks Lodge 931, where community and compassion meet.
Welcome back, everybody. We're at Hawk Talk. Jack Benedict, Coach Paul Tortorella, as we talk IUP football. Now 5-2, coming off the 20-13 win over Seton Hill. That game against California, the Coal Bowl Saturday, is at noon. That's an earlier start, so keep that in mind. Okay, we've got Mike Mann out there. That's Mr. Burdig, and we have some of our people who would like to ask the coach some questions.
Yes, Jack. We actually, I think, have 3 questions that I know of. So we'll start with this table. Let me just go left to right. Just give us your first name and where you're from and fire away. Let's grill Coach Tort.
Hi, I'm Randy from Indiana and IUP, and I'm wondering whether number 47, your fullback, Parker Gross, is ever going to get a chance to carry the ball from scrimmage.
Well, you can ask him here. He's going to be on here in a little bit, but he is involved a little bit in the pass game, but his primary role is a blocker. And in the second half, he got one of our player of the games on offense between him and Younger. The way we ran the ball in the second half, he threw some, we were in the I formation, old school, and he was a lead blocker. And he made it go. JD obviously ran the ball well. Our offensive line played pretty well, but his primary job is to block, and every once in a while he'll catch a pass now and then. So you got to know who you are.
Next.
Hi, Coach. Ron Thomas. I was going to mention about in the second half, you brought Parker Gregg in, and obviously the offense took off. Your reasoning for that, obviously, his ability to block, but that was a difference maker, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you look around, we don't play we haven't played anybody this year that gets in the eye and plays with a fullback. So teams don't play against that old school formation anymore. So in the second half when we got in it, we just started running the ball with a lead blocker, and they couldn't hold up. And then we misdirected. And when you can run the ball, your play action and misdirection go hand in hand, and we hurt them with misdirection and play action also. Now, if you're not running the ball very well, then play action and misdirection doesn't work either. So we did get in the old school I formation, and that's what kind of got us going, actually.
Hi, Coach. Vito from Indiana. The game seemed to be a little chippy at the end.
Yeah.
What was the story with the unsportsmanlike at the end of the game? It looked kind of confusing.
Well, what they're supposed to do is when we're taking a knee and just ending the game, they're not allowed to cut our offensive linemen, and that's what they were doing. And the officials should have stopped it after they did it the first time and gave them a penalty. A lot of the times when you're in the kneel down, the official tells the defensive line, don't even engage with the offensive line. So that's kind of what it was. I mean, they're in there trying to get it. they're not going to get the ball, but they're in there thinking they're going to get the ball, and they're diving at our knees. And, you're an offensive lineman. It doesn't feel real good with guys trying to take your knees out in those kill situations.
Speaking of not getting the ball,
because our guy got mad that he got his knees taken out. Yeah.
Speaking of not getting the ball, I'm Parker Gregg. Is there any chance we could get an new offensive coordinator? That's not really. I'm beside Parker Gregg, actually. Parker, at least you're getting some love here today.
Yeah, I mean, I just like being on the IUP football team. I was blessed to be brought in here. I didn't have many opportunities, and I'm forever grateful for being here.
Paid for by friends of Parker Gregg.
He blocks willingly.
All right, good. I'm glad you didn't take all my questions. I've got one for you, Coach. One of our listeners, IUP alum in the Pittsburgh area, faithful, comes to a lot of the home games, checks in radio, TV, and everything else, had a question he wanted me to pass along to you. And his question is this: in general, when it comes to resources, scholarships, budgets for scouting, and other expenses, how do we compare to the top programs in the conference, and how can we as fans review that info to see where we stand and decide whether we are competitive and need to step it up?
Yeah, the last part of that, I don't really know where you can review it. That's above my pay scale. But we're comparable to, all the schools in our league, budget-wise and scholarship-wise. The privates, Mercyhurst no longer, but Gannon and Seton Hill, they're fully funded. So they have 36 scholarships, but it's kind of like monopoly money because they're private schools. But the regular Pennsylvania Conference schools, we're up there at scholarship numbers, and our budget's up there with a lot of the other conference schools.
Do you think that somebody will be replaced next year in place of Mercyhurst in the conference or not? Is there enough talk about that or not?
I don't know. If they watch the officiating in the league, I don't know if anybody would want to join this conference right now. Although I will say last week was a very well officiated game. They did a great job. It really was. It was a night and day difference. It was very good. And we had a lot of penalties called on us. We had 7 penalties, and they were all penalties. And they I thought they were tremendous. They did a great job. But to answer that, I don't know. Somebody mentioned Frostburg State. Some other, I don't know.
I have even heard, and this is all hearsay, that St. Francis would maybe pull out of where they are.
I don't know.
But
I mean,
that's up to them. And
well, you got other sports. The thing that people don't realize is it's just not football. There's other sports. So, like, if you're going to join the conference, you got to be in the conference with all these other sports too.
Exactly.
So it's not as easy as people think.
Yeah.
The problem was Mercyhurst left, and that was it. Like, there was no time to deal with it. Like, usually it's like a year or two, and then it goes into effect. It was like 2 days, and they were out.
Yeah, it just disappeared.
Yeah, they just disappeared.
Here's one that I thought I'd bring up, and I had seen this on a message board in some places, and Coach is aware of this. Clarion and Edinburgh played. Clarion won by 1 point at Clarion. Clarion enforced a conference rule, this way, I don't know if I'm putting it properly, about proper uniforms to be worn. There are certain uniforms you wear at home, certain colored uniforms you wear on the road. But the way I understand it, for instance, if you go to Cal and you want to wear a different visitor's uniform, you have to report that to the commissioner's office first. They have to okay it, and then California would okay it.
Right.
In this case, that apparently didn't happen, and Clarion called them on it, and they penalized Edinburgh 1 timeout each quarter.
Right.
Plus 15-yard penalty. I know you have a little bit more about this. Where's all this coming from?
Yeah, I mean, they like to do that. You need, supposedly, you need written approval to wear a different jersey. Like, when you're on the road, you wear white. The home team wears dark. They were wearing gray, and Clarion knew nothing about it. So they I guess, broached the subject with the referees. Referees, in turn, got on their cell phone and called Steve Murray to get a ruling, and they ruled that they're in violation of the uniform code, blah, 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 blah. So what happened was they got, at the beginning of the game, they got enforced a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty at Edinburgh in the first half. At the beginning of the second half, they got enforced a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. But they also lost, in the first half, it's not that big a deal. They lost a timeout. They lost 2 timeouts in the first half, so only had 1 timeout. But in the second half, it is a big deal. Instead of having 3 timeouts, they only had 1. Well, as the game ends up, Clarion comes back and takes a 1-point lead, and Edinburgh turns the ball over. Clarion's got the ball with 2 minutes to go, and Edinburgh doesn't have enough timeouts to be able to get the ball back. So, that's what the deal was.
That's pretty harsh, isn't it? All those timeouts they take away.
Well, just wear the uniform you're supposed to wear.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, we don't have to worry about. We got 2 uniforms and that's it. Like, we don't got a 3rd uniform. like we wear white on the road, crimson at home. It's done. If you don't have another uniform, you don't got to worry about it.
Somebody brought it up, and you would remember too when IUP's basketball team played at Edinburgh.
Right, sure.
They forgot to bring the uniforms. Yeah. Edinburgh says that's okay. Wear whatever we have for you. They could have enforced the rule and forced a forfeit. I think is what I heard.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, but the other little tidbit on that game was supposedly Edinburgh sent a guy back to Edinburgh to get the white jerseys, and he didn't get back until the second half. I'm serious. That's what I heard. He didn't get back until the second half. It was already started, and so
stopped off at a fast food place.
I didn't drive fast enough. I guess they thought they were going to change uniforms at halftime. Maybe I don't know, but I did hear that they had sent a guy, their equipment guy, to go back and bring the white uniforms.
Interesting. All right, let's go back. Some interesting stuff there, that's for sure. And we do have Parker Gregg coming up shortly. Defensively, Garrett Cox, 16 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. He is, I know, we haven't seen the numbers, but I know he's over 300 in his career now, and he's right up there in the tops as he's been for the last 4 years. And he made some very key, as some of the other players did too, key stops for you, key plays.
Yeah, he had 2 sacks on blitzes that came at huge times in the game in the second half. One on 3rd down earlier in the second half. And then at the end on 2nd down, he got a sack on a blitz to get them in 3rd and 16 on their last drive. Usually, if you can get a sack there on a last drive or a 2-minute drill, you usually got a pretty good chance to stop them. And to get a sack, we had to blitz. We weren't getting much pressure with a 4-man rush here the last couple weeks. So Smitty called the blitz. We ran it. Didn't give it away. It doesn't do you any good to blitz if you don't disguise it. Because if you show them you're blitzing, they're going to throw the ball quick anyway. He didn't realize we were blitzing, and Cox was there, and he was getting ready to throw it, but he couldn't get it off. Now, if he would have seen the blitz coming, he would have thrown it before he got sacked.
One of the other, before we take a break here, I did want to get to next. We do have a video here of who's going to be a 4-year all-conference player in Darius Bruce. And he got himself a pick, and then he returned it about 57 yards. John, we do have that if we want to roll that, but he was in the right spot. He timed it perfectly, and he gave you a whole bunch of yardage here and pretty much sealed the fate of Seton Hill.
Yeah, he needs to protect the ball a little better there. I had no problem with him running it back and trying to score a touchdown there because, at any more, especially the way we lost the last 2 weeks, like we might as well score more points just to make sure. But it really wasn't holding the ball the way you want to hold the ball, because if you fumble there and then they get to go back out on offense, and he's got to go back out and play defense. So the guy that made a great play on that was the running back. You should see him where he came from to stop the return.
Yeah.
Quarterback ends up doing it, but he would have cut back, and beat the quarterback. But their running back, the good running back, comes from way on the other side of the field and runs them down here from the backside, number 3.
Yeah, that's Crockett.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I see his.
Because he would have just cut back, right? But see, 3's right there.
Yeah,
he
he's
would
right
just cut
there.
back and, he would have beaten the quarterback.
Yeah.
It probably would have been a touchdown. But as long as we had the ball with less than minute 30, and I think they had one timeout left, so the game was sealed.
Yeah. By the way, Darius, his numbers this year: 36 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 1 interception, 1 quarterback hurry, and don't forget 2 forced fumbles. Okay, that's his line right now with some games to go, and he's only played in that secondary for 4 straight years, which you're not going to see this stuff too often anymore.
He's probably one of the best open field tacklers we've ever had here, and that says a lot.
Yes, it does.
We've had a lot of good players, obviously, on defense, but he's as good as anybody tackling in the open field. He's got real long arms. He's very athletic. He covers a lot of ground. He's without a doubt as good an open field tackler that we may have ever had here.
Yeah, that's really saying something. We're going to be back, and finally we're going to get to talk with Parker Gregg, so stay with us. It's Hawk Talk. We're coming to you from the Elks Lodge on U92.5 and Renda Digital TV.
Since 1936, Walker Motor Company in downtown Katanning has served Western Pennsylvania with its no-pressure, no-hassle environment, bringing the kind of family-owned and oriented dealer experience that everyone wants when it comes time to purchase a new or used vehicle. Whether you are looking for a new GMC, pre-owned vehicle, service, or collision repair, come on over to Walker Motors and see why they've been voted #1 for 6 straight years. Visit them at walker-motor.com.
Looking for food, fun, and entertainment with a purpose? The Elks Lodge 931 in Indiana is more than a place. It's community. Become an Elk. Enjoy food, fun, bowling, music, events, and a banquet hall. Distinctly American, Elks are rooted in brotherly love, charity, fidelity, and justice. Annually giving tens of thousands to local charities. We give back not at the Elks, as an Elk. See them at 475 South 13th Street and on Facebook today. Elks Lodge 931, where community and compassion meet.
We're back here with the second half of Hawk Talk at the Elks Lodge. Jack Benedict, along with Coach Paul Tortorella and Parker Gregg, the aforementioned fullback and all-around player who got a chance to sit in the back row. And how'd it look from back there?
It looks great. You guys got a nice setup here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we do. Let me start with this. I'll give you a little background on you, and don't feel embarrassed because as one old-time baseball guy used to say, if you can do it, it ain't bragging. But in any event, he played at Central Martinsburg, and his junior year. This is your junior year, yeah. So he's been playing here for quite a while. When he was a freshman, he ran for 61 yards and 3 touchdowns. You probably remember all 3, do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's yesterday.
Yeah, like it was yesterday. And you had a TD against Edinburgh too. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No. Oh, yeah, in the freshman year. Yeah.
Freshman year, yeah. Sophomore year, played in 10 games, had a 15-yard touchdown grab at Bloomsburg. You remember that one? Mm-hmm. Describe it for me.
It was just like a play where I'd go outside, release, because I run that way often, and just open.
Yeah.
I mean, we practice it, so.
There it was.
Yeah.
Now, it's been widely known here, no carries, no receptions this year. But what I have down here is what I think every player on your team, your teammates would say, is a valuable team player. You mentioned, Coach, there's not many teams, hardly any, that use the old-style fullback anymore. Mm-hmm. But in high school, correct me if I'm wrong, you had 1,000 yards and 1,000 yards recepting? Is that receiving?
Yeah, yep, in my senior year. Yeah, I think I rushed for like 1,000 the year before, but in my senior year I rushed and received for 1,000 both.
So you were playing tailback?
Tailback and wide receiver. We had a pretty good quarterback. Who actually, you mentioned St. Francis. He plays there now. He's actually starting.
Oh, he's playing there now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So is this what you saw in him?
Yeah, I
whenever, all purpose,
I was
really.
like, we watched the film, and I'm like, I'm like, this guy catches the ball a ton. He runs the ball. Like, he was very versatile, so to speak. Usually in high school, if you're the running back, that's kind of all you do is run the ball. Like, that's it. This guy's running it. He's catching it out of the backfield. He was playing receiver. And then statistically, when you looked at it, he was very productive both running and catching. So, and he was physical, and he had a good body. So we still play with fullback, H-back. If we weren't in that kind of offense, which a lot of teams aren't anymore, there's not a place for him. But there is here. We use him obviously as a fullback. We use him as a wing. We use him as an H-back. So, I mean, he's a valuable part of when we want to get in those kind of formations. And it's not strictly just like you can't say, well, whenever he's in the game, it's always a run. That's not the case at all. Mm-hmm. But obviously it gives us a lead blocker in the run game, which a lot of teams don't really do anymore. They don't really use a lead blocker, so we need him in there if we want to run the ball and need a lead blocker. That's what he's in there for.
Yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you were a walk-on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you come into a program like this as a walk-on, because you had a tremendous high school career, what really do you expect as a young guy?
I just wanted to go play football, and I liked IUP when I came, so I was just grateful, like I said earlier.
It was ideal. Now, did you have other offers? Other places possibilities?
I think I had 2 places where I could have went, walk-on offers as well, but
on this level, Division II level, or?
Yeah, it's Seton Hill, and then St. Francis. It's just a local school that we talked about as well.
Yeah, with Coach Valerio over there, IUP Hall of Famer. All right, tell me your major, first of all.
I'm an exercise science major.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's an interesting background that you have, and all I have down as a note is invention.
Yeah, so I have a...
Tell us all about that.
Yeah, I have a United States patent. It's a device that would stop carbon monoxide poisoning from cars. Sadly, my father passed away from that in 8th grade, and I came up with this invention, and I had a partner that helped me build it, and we were able to receive a patent my senior year of high school.
So we do other things other than the football, too. Wow, that's something else. Now, where does it stand now?
So we just have the patent right now. We're both in school, so we're just trying to, network, get some people that maybe would be interested. It's nothing yet, but hopefully one day we'll have something.
Yeah. Was this because of your father's involvement and everything in it? And I mean, how does one, get this and say, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to pursue?
You mean with the invention?
With the invention, yeah.
I don't know. I just was thinking once, and no one ever told me I couldn't. So
that's good. I like that. If you think you can do it, you do it, right?
Absolutely. They didn't tell them no.
So the old line about the old-time football players, that doesn't apply at all. This guy's...
No, he's bright. He's sharp. He's, actually, too, with the position he plays, there's a lot of different things he's got to be involved in formation-wise. He's all over the place. People don't realize it. I mean, he's not just a fullback in the eye. I mean, he's a wing. He's going in motion. He's slicing. He's still. I mean, there's a lot. He has to know what's going on because he's put in a lot of different situations by his alignment. In regards to what formation we're in. So it's a little more to it than just the old school eye fullback like back in the day.
Yeah. So right now with the situation being that JD seems to be the only healthy running back at the time, do you think they might call on you and you might be there in that I formation at the top?
If they need me to, I will, but I like being where I'm at. And I'm trusting JD's going to keep doing his job.
That was quite a game, wasn't it? He had. I mean, you guys really worked hard to keep it going, and that old-time football stuff, it's fun to watch, and I would think it would be fun to play.
Yeah, well, it is. It's just like, it's physical. It's physical. We preach physical all the time. I mean, Tort says it every day, and nothing's more intimidating than running it down their throat. Am I right?
Yeah. So now the Coal Bowl's coming up. Do you have any thoughts about the previous couple of games you played in against Cal?
No, just nameless, faceless opponent next week, chasing 1-0, just going out there, doing our thing.
The program at Central Martinsburg, it's been pretty solid, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think we had 4 or 3 District 6 championships in a row with football, and then we won state in baseball my senior year as well. So we have pretty good athletics.
You played the other sports?
Yeah, I played baseball. Played a little bit of basketball up until like my sophomore year of high school.
Any preference to who wins the World Series?
Nah, I don't watch.
I thought I'd ask that because I'm wearing this blue watch here. I just thought I'd throw that in for, yeah. Well, in any event, I know I love watching the old style football. You go into the I formation, and when you're lining up as an H back, and sometimes you do flare him out at times too.
Sure, yeah, he's involved. He's like I said, he had a touchdown last year, touchdown catch. We just haven't. I mean, he's gone out for passes. Matter of fact, we threw him a ball to, was it Slippery Rock or was it Clarion?
We had a missed pass on the Slippery Rock game, and then I had a Millersville that I dropped.
Yeah, he dropped one.
We won't even talk about that.
Yeah, right. It was a shoot route. He got. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, this team seems to, you're on the veteran side now that you've been here a couple of years, and you had, 15 seniors the other day. It seems like you have a lot of cohesiveness among the players. Would I be right there?
Yeah, we're pretty tight. I mean, we spend so much time together with football and everything, and we all talk, so we got a nice group together.
Yeah. Do any of these guys ever ask you about your inventions or something else? Maybe, hey, tell us about something you can invent now.
Coach Wilson's came to me a couple of times about some ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, Coach Wilson's trying to hit him up for a loan if this thing goes through.
Well, I heard we might need some new facilities in the future here, so thought I'd throw my 2 cents in there for that. Coach, you talk about it that you just don't go out and get talented football players.
Right.
You try to get good people.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about IUP guys, blood and guts, tough, physical, good student, smart, good person, great character, great teammate. He's all that.
Yeah. Well, we talked about you a little bit last week. Said we got to get this guy on. So here you are. And even thanks, Parker. I believe we'll be watching from afar on Saturday. And good luck to you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. Parker Gregg, great to have him with us here. And we're going to come back with the fourth quarter, I guess, coming up in Hawk Talk. And we'll be back on Renda Digital TV and also U92.5 right after this.
Looking for food, fun, and entertainment with a purpose? The Elks Lodge 931 in Indiana is more than a place. It's community. Become an Elk. Enjoy food, fun, bowling, music, events, and a banquet hall. Distinctly American, Elks are rooted in brotherly love, charity, fidelity, and justice. Annually giving tens of thousands to local charities. We give back not at the Elks, as an Elk. See them at 475 South 13th Street and on Facebook today. Elks Lodge 931, where community and compassion meet.
Located along the beautiful Allegheny River in downtown Katanning, the Meredith Inn provides an atmosphere of casual upscale dining. If you're looking for the perfect venue for your next event, look no further than the Meredith Inn. Family gatherings, wedding rehearsal, business meeting, or just a night out. It's perfect for all occasions, and their menu has something for everyone, leaving all full and satisfied. For more information, visit them at themeredithinn.com or call 724-793-7364.
We're back. back with you now with Hawk Talk from the Elks Lodge here. By the way, when you come to the Elks, you can have dinner, of course. You don't have to be a member to come and watch our show. Just come on by. We've had great response here in our years through the game by game, week by week. And coming up, we do have California with a kickoff for the Coal Bowl at noon. I went back and I took a look. This is going to be, Coach, the 15th year for the Coal Bowl, and the Lippincott brothers, Barry and Bob, coming from the coal regions, the Blairsville, the Brownsville region and all, and they put all of this together. It's kind of an aside to the rivalry that's been IUP and Cal for some time anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's an added, accolade, so to speak. Like, I mean, this Cal IUP rivalry doesn't really need the Coal Bowl, but it's a definite added incentive. I think if you'd probably look since we've started the Coal Bowl, if you're saying it's 15 years, I would be willing to say just about every year that we've played them, we've both had good teams and good records, and it was an important game in the conference. Obviously now with them beating Slippery Rock and they're in first place, obviously undefeated in the league. And their only loss was to a really good Charleston team that's probably one of the best teams in the region. And they had a chance to win that game. They were driving late in the game and got stopped. So, sitting here today, right now, they're without a doubt the best team by far that we'll have played so far this year.
Was it a surprise to you that Cal beat Slippery Rock? Maybe not so much that they beat them, but how they did it. It appears when you look at it, they just dominated.
Yeah, that was surprising. I wasn't surprised that they beat them, but the way they did was a little bit surprising, yep.
The years that have gone by here with the Coal Bowl starting in 2009, the teams are 3-3 in the last 6 years, and I look back and some notes I had. And back in 2011, it's hard to believe because it's 75 degrees, and the way the fall weather's been here, we played in the snow.
Yeah, it was near the end of the year. We played right.
And I think that's when they had to clear the.
They were out there with shovels. I forget the one guy that used to work for the athletic department. I looked out the window that morning and I seen him out there with a shovel on the field shoveling snow. It's going to be a long day trying to get this snow off.
Tractor didn't work that day, I guess, that particular day. Give us a little rundown here of what you see when you see Cal. Where's their strong point, do you think?
Well, their quarterback is a great player. He's big. He can make all the throws. He's very mobile, smart. Slippery Rock's quarterback obviously is a great player. This guy doesn't take a back seat to him at all. This guy can make all the throws. He throws a great deep ball, and he's a bigger guy, but he's pretty athletic. He scrambles. I really don't see anything. If you look at his stats, he doesn't throw interceptions. He throws a lot of touchdowns. He's got high completion percentage. He throws the ball down the field. It's like he'll take the check down and the short throw if it's there, but he can throw it down the field now. He's got probably the best arm in regards to throwing the deep ball in the league.
Well, that's the way the Cal game started against
they hit a
Rock.
75-yard bomb on the first play.
Yeah.
And the wide-out Willis may be the fastest guy in the conference. He can fly. So those are their two big players, but they're really good everywhere else. Good offensive line. Tight end's a very good player, and the Willis kid is the best. The most productive wideout, but they got three other wideouts that are really good too. Mm-hmm. And then they got two running backs they use that are good players. Like if you think you're just going to go in and stop the pass and you're going to be fine, they'll probably run for 200 yards on you.
Mm-hmm. Now, Coach Wilson was down there for a long time.
Sure.
And has come up here now, been with IUP's offensive coordinator. Now, some of those guys are still there, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, we've talked. He knows their offense fairly well, but they've changed it and tweaked it and done some different things. But we see it, on film, and the video doesn't lie.
Right,
and they're very consistent every week. Well, let's just look at it this way. Against Clarion, with 6 minutes to go, they were losing by 10. They took the ball right down the field and cut it to 3. Got Clarion to punt, took it right down the field again to win the game. Against Seton Hill, it was tied 21-21 the week before last at Seton Hill. They got the ball with 8 minutes to go on their own 20. They scored a touchdown with 15. They just held the ball for 7.5 minutes and went right down and scored on a 20-yard touchdown run with like 12 seconds to go in the game. So Seton Hill got the ball back with 12 seconds. So they've done it, at the end of games. They had it for Charleston, too. They did the same thing, but Charleston stopped them down in the red zone, or they were going to go in and win that game at the end. Mm-hmm. And they're really good on defense. That's the other thing. They've been very good on both sides of the ball and the kicking game. They've got a good kicker. They've got a good punter. And they've played great defense. Now, they're not as they don't take as many chances on defense, at least up till now, that we've seen compared to the past. They used to be a big blitz team, a lot of blitz, cause a lot of chaos. They seem a little bit more conservative, but they're still playing great defense. It's just they're doing it a different way. And they use a lot of guys on defense. They're pretty deep. They'll use 17, 18 players on defense, and they're very physical, and they're a really solid team up and down.
Are you satisfied with the players on defense? Where you talked about depth with California, and I know you've utilized more on the defensive line at times. Linebackers, fortunately, Chuck and Garrett have been able to go strong all year. Secondary, I noticed you made a couple of changes there. Was that for depth-wise, or what was the purpose? They're just trying to get some people in, some action?
Yeah, I mean, we hold a pretty high standard, on both sides of the ball and the kicking game. And if guys aren't doing their job, it's going to be next man up. There's got to be some type of accountability. We're a program, it's a developmental program. But just because you've been a starter here for 2 years doesn't mean if you're not playing very well, you're going to keep starting. That's just not how it works. So, it's not like a guy gets demoted and he never gets another chance. So, we've moved some guys around on the back end. The freshman D end is elevated to a starter. He's playing really good. Goodwin. We've kind of stuck with, we've stayed obviously with our 2 inside guys that are returning starters, and now we're working Jeffries in there as the 3rd inside down guy, and he's playing pretty good. He didn't, I don't know, I think he played 15 plays Saturday, and he played pretty good. He gives you a different look in there. He's big, he's tall, he's long. Our 2 inside down guys are a little shorter and not real long, don't have real long arms, so Jeffries gives us that. And we're playing 3 defensive ends. The 2 linebackers pretty much have thankfully stayed healthy, and they're playing really well. And then we got 2 of the better defensive backs in the league, in Darius Bruce and Frazier. I think corner and for the nickel star position with Darius Bruce, I think we're as good. Those guys are as good as anybody in the league. And the guy that's really starting to play really good now is Noah Johnston.
I knew you were going to bring him up here. He's up
playing
there
really good. He played really good against Seton Hill. He's strung about 3 or 4 games in a row together. He's very physical. He's got a great body, long arms. He looks the part. He's doing a much better job in cover. He made 2 or 3 plays Saturday on breakups in the second half that were really good plays on the other sideline. So, we feel like, if you play with 5 defensive backs, you want all 5 of them to play well. And if they don't, that's an issue. But the consistency that's come from Johnston, Bruce, and Frazier has been there. We just haven't been as consistent week in, week out at some other positions on the back end. And we've had consistent play at the 2 inside linebacker positions. So, we've had some inconsistency on defense. Really, Saturday played a really good game. You know, like I said, for all the things that occurred, for us to only give up 13 points and pitch a shutout in the second half, that was a pretty good day's work for the defense because we were putting in some bad positions, you know, with the turnovers and the sudden change, and then a couple penalties, which were penalties, and we roughed the punter to extend the drive. We had 2 pass interference calls to extend the drive, and in both of those instances, we only gave up field goals. So, 3 sudden changes to only give up 3 points when they get the ball all 3 times on your side of the 50 and 1 time on the 8. That probably saved the game, kept us in the game till our offense got going, and then we started playing complementary football in the second half. Offense, defense, and the kicking game in the second half probably played our best half of the year in the second half.
I'll steal a question from Pat over here. Getting off to a better start would be one of the keys to the game, I would think, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to start off like we started off, that's for sure. In some games, we've played better in early in the game, and then in the middle didn't play as well and played better late. You want to be you're not going to have 60 minutes of just everything go well. Like, that's not going to happen a lot. But the consistency, the up and down on both sides of the ball in game is a problem. Like if you look at offensively, the first half we didn't play very good. We played great in the second half. Defensively, we pretty much played a really good game for 60 minutes. Mm-hmm. You go back, look at other games. It's during different periods of the game. We lost our consistency. And like I said, to go out there and think you're going to play great every minute, the whole game, that'd be great if that would happen. But the peaks and valleys are, we're either really good or we're not playing very well at all within a game.
Within a game.
And that's not, you don't want to be that. You want to have to be more consistent.
Mm-hmm. Bring us up to date. It's early in the week. Injuries.
Well, I mean, we've got now to the point where we pretty much got everybody back. We're hoping Monaco can play. He has a chance. He's going to practice tomorrow. Really the only position where we're banged up is running back. We've got everybody else back and ready to go.
And you had mentioned, how about Randy Washington?
Yeah, he'll be back. He's playing now. We'll have to see if he can get his cast off. We don't know yet. We'll know tomorrow if he's going to be able to get his cast off. But he's still going to play,
If he can get the cast off.
He could go back to offense if he could get the cast off.
I was going to say, you could use him as a backup running back.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah. But right now, he's our second team star, and he's playing on all the special teams. He's playing pretty well on the special teams.
Mm-hmm. And no difference with Randy Okuno on defense?
No, he's going to medical red shirt.
Okay.
So he'll be back as a medical red shirt.
Yeah. Okay, noon kickoff at Cal, the Cole Bowl, 15th annual. We'll be on the air on 92.5 at 11:30. And, of course, you can catch us all over the place. Catch us around the world on IUP football. Coach, good luck, and we'll see you at practice, and we'll get ready for Saturday.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks, Jack.
Coach Tortorella, Hawk Talk. Thanks to everybody here. We'll see you next week on Renda Digital TV and also U92.5.
The following has been a special sports presentation of Renda Media. You've been listening to another edition of Hawk Talk on the new U92.